Hi, I'm Dr. Mark Ross, Professor of Systematic Theology at Erskine Theological Seminary. The Westminster Assembly had as one of its main tasks the reforming of the Church of England with respect to its government. It was the intent of Parliament to abolish the whole episcopal system from the Archbishop of Canterbury on down. They wanted to replace it with the form of government that could be identified in the New Testament. So the Assembly began in searching the New Testament to see what offices were there to be found, distinguishing between those offices that were temporary, such as apostle, which would die out when the apostles who had seen the risen Lord Jesus Christ died out, and those officers that would succeed them, that would be, as they called it, ordinary and perpetual in the life of the church. They identified four such offices. There was what they called the pastor, and alongside of him a teacher, teachers especially serving in theological seminaries or training institutions and schools. There would be deacons who would help to care for the poor. And then there was another office that they identified as other church governors. Today, Presbyterian churches would call them ruling elders. At the time, not all the Westminster divines were willing to call them elders. That was a term that they thought the New Testament used especially for pastors. But over time, that would be a distinction that would be accepted. It was primarily accepted at the time because there was an analogy between the Old Testament church and the New Testament church. Whereas there were elders of the people who would join with the priests and the Levites in the government of the nation, the Church of Israel, in its major deliberations. So they believed also in the New Testament there were those who were called to serve alongside the pastors in the church, but they would be laymen. They would not have the power to preach or to administer the sacraments, but they would serve with the pastors in overseeing the morals of the church, enforcing its doctrines and its disciplines on the people, serving in what are now called the courts of the church. They would be a governing council for the church. That was one of the greatest debates of the Assembly, but it was that form of government that would become influential far beyond the initial purpose for which that Assembly of Divines was called.